And at that moment, there were already servants in the teacher's bedroom. They quietly brought the doll into the teacher's bedroom. The doll was very similar to the teacher of the Lord. They quietly changed it and put a doll in the bed instead of the teacher. And they ran away. The Blue Dynasty father and daughter were already in the teacher's room. All they had to do was push in the poisoned needles, that's all. Morning has come. The bishop came into his teacher's bedroom. He saw that his teacher was lying in bed covered with needles, like a voodoo doll. The bishop was simply heartbroken. He definitely didn't expect it. He did not understand who the traitor was, why this happened. The bishop burst into tears. He took his teacher's body, lifted it from the bed, and hugged it tightly. He had already begun to say goodbye to the great man, with a great teacher. Tears flowed down the bishop's cheeks. It was a great sorrow. It was the loss of a beloved teacher who taught him everything. Suddenly his servants ran up to the ruler. They began to tell what they heard about a father and daughter from the Blue Dynasty, and they told what they had done for the Lord and teacher. Did you really do it? Is this all for me and my teacher? You are very brave people. I am proud to have such devoted servants. Be rewarded. We did this for you, Lord, the servant said. This is not all for the sake of money, for the sake of encouragement. It's because we are committed to you. Thank you, my servants, answered Lord Grandis. Where then is my teacher himself? Is he alive? Is he okay? The servants simply hid the teacher in another room so that no one would ever find him. The servants were the first to run to the room where the teacher was hidden. They approached his bed. We burst into tears because the teacher felt much better. They saved him. Thank you, my servant. I am glad to serve on the side of good, and I am glad that I have such devoted, faithful servants. Said, Lord, I was glad to help, the servant replied. Knowing that everything was fine, the bishop went outside. I wanted to be alone. Get your thoughts in order, and think about what to do now with these two, father and son, from the Blue Dynasty. The Lord met with the father and son from the Blue Dynasty. What should I do with you now? Said Lord, you will now be my servants. Do any work, and even sing and dance. Thank you, Vladika. Forgive us. Is it possible not to sing? My daughter asked. Customs not to dance, the father asked. But the bishop did not want to listen to anything. Today I want to organize a festive ball. The honor of a small victory. It is an honor that my teacher has recovered. Prepare songs and dances. Lord, have mercy. I can't sing at all. I have no voice at all. And there is no hearing either. Nothing. Nothing. Everything is fine. Rehearse. You are a song and you are a dance. So that I like it. My God, what should I do? Thought the daughter of the Blue Dynasty. I don't know a single song. What will I sing? It's a shame. Oh, God, nightmare. I don't know the songs. I don't have a voice. What will I do? Maybe the elements. Although I'm not good at this either. Maybe this is too weak a punishment for these two. Although if I'm on the side, then good ones. So you need to be kind. I think they will make me laugh with their talents. This is a failure, I thought about my daughter. It will be a fiasco. How will we perform if we can neither sing nor dance? And what will the ruler do to us then? Oh my God. Daughter, don't worry, I'll think of something. Although, what can I come up with? I don't know how to dance. Can't you sing too? You're right. This is a fiasco, okay? Rehearse, said Lord Grandis to the father and daughter of the Blue Dynasty. I believe in you. The Lord said, smiled, and left. Well, your time has come. We don't have a stage. This is not a theater. Here is the place where you will perform. Please, let's do it. And then something incomprehensible began. The father of the Blue Dynasty was dancing something in country style. By the way, the Blue One sang an unknown song which she composed right on the go. It was just a bunch of words that didn't hit any notes. When did this funny show end? The daughter of the Blue Dynasty heard from the Lord. You are bad artists. You're good for nothing. All you have to do is feed the dogs. And the good dog was only happy about it. Now, he has an owner, and personal servants who will look after him and constantly feed him. Here's happiness for you, thought the good dog. The father and daughter of the Blue Dynasty began to feed the good dog. The dog was very pleased. It seems like the work is not dusty, the father said. I dreamed of something else, the father answered the daughter. Father, I can't do this anymore. We go to the market 100 times a day to buy a lot of food for this glutton. My legs hurt. He eats and eats and eats. The father of the Blue Dynasty felt sincerely sorry for his daughter. She is too young and beautiful to be a servant of such a plan. The father suggested going to the bishop and asking for another job. Well, I don't know. I like everything. He said, "Good dog. I will ask the Lord and he will find me new servants." Laughed, "Good dog." And at this time, the daughter of the Blue Dynasty was already showing her leg to the ruler. She said that she was very tired, that she had worn all her feet into calluses in order to go to this market for groceries. The Lord carefully examined the leg of the daughter of the Blue Dynasty. He understood that she was just young and being cunning in front of him, but the ruler was also cunning. If she doesn't like this job, then she needs to come up with some other one, the Lord thought. Although what can be offered, she couldn't even cope with my dog. He just needed to be fed. "Vladika, I beg you, please, give me some easier work, so that my young legs don't get tired." The Lord grinned. "What can you come up with?" the Lord thought. "You are young, very cunning, and you don't want to work at all." The Lord looked at the feet of the daughter of the Blue Dynasty and said, "I came up with everything. I found you another job. Legs are not needed there at all." "Thank you, Lord," said the daughter of the Blue Dynasty. "You are the best. God heard my prayers." The father of the Blue Dynasty stood to the side, laughing and covering his mouth with his hand, so that his daughter doesn't see him laughing. The father understood that the bishop was joking, and the work would not be easy. Then, the father of the Blue Dynasty asked the ruler through his fingers, "My lord, perhaps we are bad servants, but we are definitely good warriors. We may be of use to you in another matter." "Guard my sleep?" The Lord laughed. "Okay, I'll think about your proposal," said Lord. "Now follow me, I will show you a new work." My father understood that there would be nothing interesting there, and my daughter thought that it would be even easier than the previous job. If this job doesn't require legs, maybe I'll lie down and count the stars. This is certainly interesting. And your legs? They will hurt. The daughter and father of the Blue Dynasty went after the ruler. There was a surprise ahead of them. They left the house and walked across the bridge of a large river, and they headed straight into the forest. No one knew what awaited them ahead. "And here is your new place of work," said the bishop. "Many are not needed here. You will work with your hands." The Lord laughed. "We need to move these logs and strengthen our bridge." The father of the Blue Dynasty realized that the ruler just wanted to teach his young daughter a lesson, so that she stops being cunning, stopped being lazy. There are a few logs left to carry them to the bridge. Everything was spent a lot. Now my daughter's legs and arms hurt. Suddenly a very strong wind rose in the forest. Leaves were falling from the trees. It seemed like it was a real hurricane. The largest tree in the forest, near which there were logs. It began to come to life, grow and stretch upward. Its branches became thick and powerful. The branches of the tree covered almost the entire sky. A forest fairy appeared. No, it was not the good fairy from fairy tales. She clearly came out of this tree for a reason. "I will come to your city. I will take all the trees, all the bushes, all the flowers, and all the vegetation. You will have nothing left but stones and sand," said the evil forest fairy. "You will have no vegetation. The animals will have nothing to eat. The birds will have nothing to eat. We will not harvest you. Therefore, you will have nothing to eat. I will get maximum pleasure from this. Believe me, and I don't need you. Maybe everything will remain in this forest, or you can run to your city. But there will be nothing left for me alive, and you will have to run back from it. All the inhabitants will flee from the city. There will be no animals, no birds, no vegetation. Therefore, people will not be able to live there. This will be the best place for me." The father and daughter of the Blue Dynasty were very scared. Ink seemed to be chasing them, some kind of monster. They fled the city with all their might, to warn everyone. The reign of the Blue Dynasty ran to the Lord to tell everything. Everything she saw and heard in the forest. "Can I trust you?" the bishop asked. "You are a very cunning girl. At first your legs hurt. Your hands should hurt now. from hard work. And now, you are telling me some fairy tales. I speak the pure truth, sir. Something needs to be done. We need to save every living thing in the city. We need to save the flowers. I think the bishop doesn't believe us, the father said to his daughter. We have already failed him once. Therefore, there is no trust. Father, but we are telling the truth, the daughter said. The honest truth. Maybe for the first time in my life. The reign of blue values was very upset. In her opinion, this was very unfair. This is the first time I'm telling the truth, but the bishop doesn't believe me. Why is everything so unfair? The daughter cried and spoke loudly. Father, I propose to go to Vladika again and tell him the whole truth. Everything is as it really was. Everything we heard and saw. Daughter, are you sure that she will believe us? Said the father. We have lost trust, and you are constantly cunning and lazy to work. Yes, father, I'm sure. Confident as ever. He will look at my eyes and understand that I am telling the truth. Let's go quickly. The father and daughter of the Blue Dynasty came to the ruler. I know that you don't believe us, Vladika said to the father, but we are telling the honest truth. I will cut off your heads with this sword. For your lies? Enough. I don't believe a single word you say. The Blue Nastia father and daughter became very scared. Their whole life flashed before their eyes. Then the daughter asked for one wish before dying, just to eat. As soon as the father and daughter sat down at the table to eat, strange things began to happen in the city. While Vladika sat in the garden and drew, all the trees and flowers disappeared around him. All plants and even grass, everything around became just gray, like sand. Perhaps they were right, thought the Lord. Even the color of my paints disappeared. Everything that the ruler drew began to disappear, to fly and evaporate. Everything became black and white. The colors have disappeared. The bright brush he was painting also became black and white. The brown bull in his painting became completely white. Vladika was walking home, very upset. Now he realized that father and son were telling the truth to him. If I had entrusted it, it would not be so late now. To do just what? And on the street the colors were disappearing everywhere. Everything changed its color. The garden in which the Lord painted was no longer recognizable. Everything became black and white. Ugly. It was no longer clear where everything was. It was all the machinations of the black and white widow. She was offended by the entire white world. And that's why I wanted to make it white and black and white. The King of Fire has appeared in the city. This is all for a reason. He just never showed up. What's going on here? The King of Fire asked. Do you need help or can you figure it out yourself? No. Everything is okay? No problem at all. In fact, we decided to share our spells and our power with each other. Oh, great. I agree. I just don't have enough courage, or a lot of the magic of your spells and superpower. Vlad. Lord. Training starts today, asked the reign of the Blue Dynasty. Yes, the bishop answered. It seemed to everyone that the ruler knew more magic spells than anyone else. Everyone was in full anticipation. Yes, friends, everything will happen today. Therefore, I ask everyone to be there. And don't be late. Night Eye, with a secret spell of my ball, I will teach you how to work it, how to swing it in flight. Just remember this, the King of Fire and the Prince of the Kingdom of the Dead. They watched very carefully every movement that the bishop performed. This was very useful information. My God. Oh no. How he does it? It's simply amazing. You are the best, the king and the prince shouted. I hope everyone remembers everything. If necessary, I can repeat it. It's not difficult for me. The main thing is that everyone is able to have the same movements. The servant suggested that the bishop hold a master class right on the street. We could start with these two, the king and the prince, the servant suggested. Wow, Super, I haven't practiced for a long time. Moreover, he is a good opponent. We will hone new knowledge. The king laughed loudly. We won't fight for real. This will be a masterclass just to hone your skills. The prince and the king signed a document in which it was stated that they did not have the right to inflict bodily harm on each other, and only hurt each other in a masterclass. That's what the bishop said to the document in my hands. So, everything will be fine. This means no one will really fight. So, are you ready? The Lord asked the king and the prince. If you don't remember my movements, I can repeat them again. It's not difficult for me. Ready answered Principal Password. Well then, let's fight. Let's show each other who can do what and who remembers what. and I'll look at you. The main thing was a document signed by the King of Fire and the Prince of the Kingdom of the Dead, because both of them had super strength, which could break out of them a moment of masterclass. It's as if demons have possessed the King of Fire and the Prince of the Kingdom of the Dead. They fought so that the stars sparkled and flew around them. It was a real battle. Nobody wanted to give in, but they understood that these were just master classes. This was not real. The Prince and the King of Fire crossed their balls. We looked into each other's eyes. It was clear to them that everything was working out for them. They shared their magical energy with each other. With your superpower. The Vladika watched them from the side. He was very pleased because everything worked out for them. The masterclass went very well. From the outside, the King of Fire and the Prince of the Kingdom of the Dead looked like real show business stars. The King of Fire laughed and said, "And I am the coolest star in show business. The best." The Lord smiled. It sounded very funny, very childish. "You are both the best," said the Lord. "Well, I am very pleased with today's masterclass. You showed and proved that you are capable of learning. This is wonderful. You have become even stronger. No showbiz superstar, it's me." The prince shouted loudly, "The Kingdom of the Dead. I'm young, I'm beautiful, and I have a real gold imperial seal. I also have a golden dagger, handmade. No one has this. As soon as you have me, it means that I am a star." The King of Fire and the Prince of the Kingdom of the Dead began to argue like children about who is better, who is worse, who is a star, who is a superstar. It looked very funny. Vladika simply stood and smiled. "Everyone, I'm a star. I'm a star. I'm a star." The King of Fire repeated all the time. "I'm a star, which means I can do anything. I'm a star, which means I can do everything." Suddenly, the daughter of the Blue Dynasty appeared. "It's very good that I found you. I have some bad news for you. While you are training here, something incomprehensible is happening in the city. I think someone attacked us, or maybe he captured it. I am not qualified in this field. I saw 2 large birds above the city. Yes, they were definitely birds. They were huge across the entire sky. 2 huge fiery eagles were actually flying in the sky. Their birds were not visible in the sky at all. Some kind of fire dragon also appeared. It was still unclear what he was doing, how to fight him, and what he wanted. It was clear that chaos was beginning again in the city. The confrontation between good and evil was beginning again. People hid their houses. The Lord Grandis and the King of Fire went out to their balcony to see what was happening in the city. It was terrible. Fire and ashes covered the entire city. I propose to combine our forces. The master class has passed, so now everyone is practically at the same level of strength. Let's fight back. Well, friends, let's fight back this evil spirit. Let them know who was attacked. Everyone was ready to fight against the evil spirits. They had all the professionalism, super strong spell, and good ball control after the master class. "I will use the power of fire," said the King of Fire, "and I will use super strength in my spells. I think this will be the best combo against this evil spirit. Well, let's see who wins. I'm ready. Let's fight back." And a battle ensued. It was terribly scary. The ground shook. Stones flew in different directions. Fire was everywhere. "This is great," said Lord. He was pleasantly surprised. The boys mastered the master class well. Even ships were burning at sea. Suddenly, a dragon-like lizard suddenly appeared. Its mouth was so large that it seemed like it could swallow an entire house. She hit her tail and 100, maybe 1,000 people scattered in different directions. Everyone fought as hard as they could. Everyone used their best strength, all their magic, all their superpowers. But in the fire, there was practically nothing visible. The Fire King tried to do everything he could, but the powers of this lizard were too great. Friends, we must all work our magic together at the same time. Each one at the same time. The Prince of the Kingdom of the Dead was so stunned that he simply did not hear anything. He was in a fog. The King of Fire prepared to do his magical fire cycle. This is the best thing he had in his arsenal. The birds escaped as best they could from this city. Their feathers burned as they flew. They were simply exhausted from the heat and fire. Many of them could not fly away and simply fell. It seemed that the entire city was already strewn with dead birds. The situation was tense. The King of Fire made his magical gesture, then unfolded the chronicle and read the harshest and most powerful spell. Lord Grandis took his signature sword. I decided to do what he showed today at the master class. I had to concentrate. Full concentration was needed. All your strength and power had to be put into this sword and into your blow. The Lord kissed his sword. He whispered something out loud, and the sword lit up like a neon lamp. He flew as high into the sky as possible, picking up more and more speed. The higher he rose into the sky, the more strength he had. The Lord flew almost to the stars. He was stronger than ever. A bolt of lightning flashed like an electrical flash in the sky. This blue-white light illuminated the entire earth and the entire sky. Everyone else was waiting. What would happen now? What will the ruler do? And the ruler decided this whole charge of energy. This electric flash, throw yourself down to the ground at this giant lizard with all your might. An electrical flash imbued with superpowers and magic filled the whole sky. Oh God, what's going to happen to the prince screamed. Don't be afraid, he knows what he's doing, he said. King, a huge electrical flash in the form of ball lightning hit the ground. There was a very large blast wave. Dust rose above the ground. Pizza, King even fell. The blast wave was so powerful that the wind turned into a hurricane. Everything was blown away in its path, but it helped put out the fire. We're scattered. The clouds have cleared, and the sky became starry again. Everything seemed to be quiet. The King of Fire and the Prince of the Kingdom of the Dead looked into the sky and waited for the ruler to appear. All that remained was to hope for the Golden McDuck. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. There was tension in the air. A Snow Queen appeared who also wanted to help the residents of the city, because you couldn't hope for a Golden McDuck. This is just funny. Suddenly, flashes of some kind of lightning appeared in the sky. Flashes of fire. And thank God the ruler appeared, safe and sound. He was healthy and not injured. And, in the distance in the sky, the silhouette of a Toyo lizard that attacked the ground was barely visible. She disappeared. And disappeared. Hooray, the earth is quiet and calm again. Residents of the city can again not be afraid of anything. The sun is shining and everything is fine. Suddenly the Snow Queen, she got upset and cried. Nobody understood what was happening to her. She just saw that her friend, whom she had not seen for 1,000 years, was flying to meet her. She ran outside to meet her friend. Fly quickly. Fly from Korea. I have not seen you for so long, the Snow Queen screamed. And suddenly a large, beautiful firebird flew to her feet, to her body, to her head. They hugged. We looked into each other's eyes. The meeting was of best friends. The firebird sat down next to the Snow Queen and began to tell her one very interesting story. That there was an attack where she lives. This happened far, far away behind the big, giant, snowy mountains, many thousands of kilometers from here. What can't happen? The Snow Queen said. It has always been calm on your land. Our leader has disappeared. Our leader, the one who protected us, protected and preserved our lands. He said he was a firebird. She was caught, chained, but a big pumped-up Mowgli came to the rescue. Well, at least he looked a lot like him. The firebird said. He defeated some monster with a long tongue, or maybe a demon. Sorry, I don't understand them, said the firebird. My God, what a nightmare. Thank God everything worked out. Everyone is alive and well. Firebird, maybe you will stay with us and stay for a while. Haven't we seen each other for so long? The Snow Queen said and hurried home because today they were preparing a big party. At home, big preparations were already underway for the party. Everyone was getting ready. We wanted to celebrate the victory. The Lord came to the bedroom of the daughter of the Blue Dynasty. I asked her not to be late for the party. Now, if she's late, I'll punish her again, especially if she cheats. Who will oversleep? Said the daughter of the Blue Dynasty. I'm already cheerful and cheerful here. Everyone started dancing to the music. They spun in a round dance. We ran. They danced again. We played different games. In a word, it was a lot of fun. There was even a kind dog at the party. The Lord came with him, because a good dog loves not only good food, but also a good party. And now the surprise screamed and the Blue Dynasty reigned. Just a moment of attention. And of course, your applause. A very beautiful dancer appeared in front of everyone, wearing a mask, with small ears, and a nose. It was the dance of a young, beautiful fox. It was very beautiful and original. Let's all clap for this wonderful dance, cried the Blue Dynasty reign. The reign of the Blue Dynasty saw the Snow Queen slowly approaching. Of course, I'm sorry. I'm not a school principal. But I would like to see your father, Dynasty in Blue. I have questions for him. After some time, The reign of the Blue Dynasty came with her father to the clearing where the Snow Queen was already waiting for them. I'll just say one thing. My friends, the fox dance was unnecessary. The father of the dynasty and the Blues was a little ashamed of his daughter, although the daughter also understood that this was a dance that did not fit into the concept of this party. The bishop didn't really like this dance either. It was somehow defiant, the bishop said. I would even say it a little vulgarly, the Snow Queen answered. But let's not judge the Blue Dynasty's reign harshly. It seems to me that the girl is simply too young and stupid. Reigns. Nastya was very upset. She began to cry while singing, and tears began to flow. It seemed to her that everything was against her. It seemed to her that everything was against her. The world became somehow gray for her, because she was in no mood at all. The daughter of the dynasty and the Blue turned around and ran away. She was a little ashamed. Okay. Next time I will rehearse the dance and song myself, and I'll show you how to do it. Let's see how you clap for me. Clap your hands. Reign of the Blue Dynasty began to imagine how fans were already approaching her for an autograph. The daughter should have consulted first, the father of his daughter told the Blue Dynasty. Then this could have been avoided. Father, but I wanted the best, you know, said the Blue Dynasty Reign to her father. Father, do you believe me? Only honestly. Answer, please, said the daughter of the Blue Dynasty. Daughter. Of course I believe, the father answered. You are the only thing I have. You are my wealth. Suddenly, the Snow Queen appeared. She had a worried face. Was she worried about something? The Snow Queen turned to the father of the Blue Dynasty. I want to remind you that you promised and swore to be on the side of good and serve this cause. It seems to me that this time has come. Reign of the Blue Dynasty saw a large, beautiful firebird fly away. This was the first time she had seen such beauty. Firebird is my friend. You don't know where she flew? The Snow Queen asked about the daughter of the Blue Dynasty. I don't know. I didn't even know she was your friend. She just said about a big, giant man who looks like Mowgli. And she flew away. The Snow Queen. Maybe it's worth catching up with her? Said Reign to the Blue Dynasty. What if she needs help? I'm ready to fly after her. Just order it. No, don't, said the Snow Queen. She told me this story when she flew to me. She told them that something had flown to their land and it scared them very much. She said that people became very worried, and everyone became very scared. Because before this, there was not always peace. People tried to do at least something, but somehow they didn't really succeed. Then the Firebird told me something very strange and interesting. To tell the truth, this is the first time I've heard this. Firebird told me that some big giant man appeared in front of them. He had a lot of muscles, and in her opinion, he looked like a giant Mowgli. This Mowgli also saved their leader. Good has triumphed. Peace returned to their land. And a giant, pumped-up, strong man who looks like Mowgli just now. This is the story, believe it or not. But that's exactly how it was. The father of the Blue Dynasty approached the Snow Queen. Maybe Mowgli didn't disappear. Perhaps he had superpowers, and he was a Superman. For example, lava, fire, and rays of the sun erupted from his hands. A fire tornado appeared and he disappeared. Sorry, I'm kidding. Let's all tell some interesting, funny stories, even if these are fictional stories, the Snow Queen said. Or everyone will tell about themselves, some funny incident or funny story. Oh, not that, the bishop laughed. I'm not ready for this. Snow Queen? Maybe a night one? I said the father of the Blue Dynasty. I have one very funny story. This is the story of how my daughter almost became a superstar. Show business star. She didn't have enough, just a little, voices and talent. The father of the Blue Dynasty laughed. Everyone laughed too. Did you like my story, the Snow Queen? Asked the father of the Blue Dynasty. And from the look in my daughter's eyes, it looked like I didn't really like this story. She's a little ashamed. The Snow Queen approached the ruler to ask, Master, are you now ready to tell your funny story? Ready. Friends. I just have an unearthly love for my pet, my kind dog. I love him, despite the fact that he eats almost like an elephant. The father of the Sun's dynasty laughed and lightly covered his face with his scarf. It was very funny. The daughter of the Blue Dynasty laughed the most. After all, she knew who we were talking about. A good dog, he really is like an elephant. Or maybe like two elephants. God, how sweet. Personally, I remember going to the market for food several times for this dog. Everyone laughed a lot and imagined it before their eyes. The Lord and the good dog. It was true love between owner and pet. "Father, I love you," cried the rain and blue Nastya, "because you eat much less than a good dog." "Just a joke," laughed the Blue Dynasty rain. The father of the Blue Dynasty laughed very hard. He did not expect such jokes from his beloved daughter, but it was true. Birds were flying outside. The birds sang their songs. The wind was slightly shaky. Leaves on the trees. At this time in the office, the Snow Queen and the ruler decided to discuss something important. The Snow Queen was slightly upset. There was sadness in her eyes. "Why were you bothering her? What did you want to tell me?" the Lord asked the Snow Queen. "I see that something is bothering you." "You are right," the Lord answered the Snow Queen. "I really miss the Red Phoenix. I haven't seen my sister for a long time. There is no news from her. I really miss the Red Phoenix too. After all, one for me. Not an easy friend. We have a lot in common. Let's find where she is." Once a dirk helped me. It has its own superpower. This is a powerful weapon and a good assistant if you know how to handle it. And we were also helped by a magic sword with a golden hilt. He also had super strength. This is also a powerful weapon and a good assistant in reliable, faithful hands. The last thing that happened to us, it was about some big man who looked like Mowgli. "Perhaps where he is in the Red Phoenix," said the King of Fire. "But this may be true," the Snow Queen said. "He might have the Red Phoenix. We need to think through the plan carefully. What will we do? How will we do it? And when will we do it?" Good plan. "I'm ready to fly with you, Snow Queen," said Lord. "Together we are strong, you know, and together it's not so scary. I will take with me these ancient chronicles, on which the best spell is written. Suddenly we need it. Let them better be more reliable with me. Vladika is already old and you don't remember anything? Then of course take these tips," the Snow Queen said and laughed. "I am old. Is it clear? Old?" The Lord laughed loudly. The Snow Queen remembered what this big man looked like, who looked like Mowgli. She remembered the whole description that the Firebird told her. The Snow Queen could only look in her magic mirror, understand the approximate location where they needed to fly. Well, then the Lord flew away. The gentle Queen said, "A long and difficult road awaits us. Of course, it will be very interesting, because we have never been there before. Haven't flown there yet. It was necessary to hit the road immediately. Every minute counted. We had to be in a hurry." A tear flowed from the Snow Queen's eye. She remembered her Red Phoenix sister. She missed her very much. The Lord cast a spell. Everything began to spin, and they set off on their way. The Lord and the Snow Queen stopped near large mountains. The Snow Queen recalled that the Firebird told her about the Firebird as she passed the mountains. This means that the direction was correct. And the ruler and the Snow Queen went forward and looked for the Red Phoenix. It was getting very cold. The Snow Queen and the Lord had to make their way through large icicles. It was very cold. There was sharp ice all around. These blocks of ice could cause a wound. You had to be very careful. Soon the Lord Snow Queen saw in the distance some tall mountain surrounded by the wind. The Snow Queen flew so high that she was even higher than this mountain. She wanted to look at everything very carefully. "Vladika, I think we have found this place," the Snow Queen shouted loudly from above. "Are you sure about the Snow Queen?" the Lord shouted back. "Be careful out there." "Okay, thank you," answered the Snow Queen. "I think it's time to cast your spell." From the Chronicles. The Lord quickly took out this scroll with Chronicles and began to read the most powerful spells that were supposed to help the Snow Queen. Everything should work, the Lord thought. The main thing is that this severe cold and frost do not interfere with us. It seems to me that I see something from above," the Snow Queen shouted to the ruler. "Yes, that's exactly right. This is the place. These are the high, snowy mountains that the Firebird told me about. We are on the right track." The bishop was very pleased and happy. So far, everything was going well. The spell worked. Everything went according to plan. There must have been a palace here somewhere. It's made of ice and it's very big. And of course, it is very cold. I think I've found him," the Snow Queen screamed. "Lord, can you hear me? I found him. Hooray!" The same majestic big one stood in front of them. Castle. It was blue because it was made of pure ice. It was very cold to stand next to him. It was urgent to go into this palace and look for my sister there. Surely the Red Phoenix was inside. The Snow Queen decided to check this and opened the doors of the large blue palace. Inside, the Ice Palace. Her sister stood in the middle of the room. that same beloved Red Phoenix. Sister, why is it taking so long? The Red Phoenix asked the Snow Queen. I'm almost frozen. How cold are you? You have the super ability to cause fire. Why didn't you use this? The body of the Snow Queen, oh, her sister the Red Phoenix. Or do you also forget your spells like the Lord? Then carry them with you, said the Snow Queen, because I laughed. In fact, I was very worried about you. I really missed you, Red Phoenix. Flowers are the only thing I have. You are my dear sister. I missed you too, Snow Queen. In this ice palace, my spells did not work. I only hoped for help only from you. Thank God, sister, that everything worked out for you. Of course, thanks to the bishop for his help, Red Phoenix said. Two sisters of the Snow Queen and Red Phoenix stood, rejoicing for each other, rejoicing that they had met. They were very happy. It seems to me that the Lord loves you, the Snow Queen said to the Red Phoenix. Are you serious? Answered the Red Phoenix. I have long suspected this to be the case. I just didn't tell him. I didn't say anything to anyone at all. Well, is it time to go home, sister? The journey will be long, and not so simple. Where is the Lord? Asked the Red Phoenix with the Snow Queen. You said you came together? So where is he? The Red Phoenix's eyes lit up with happiness. She had not seen the Lord for a very long time. The ruler appeared from behind the Snow Queen. He brought ginger cookies for the Red Phoenix, which she loves very much. We had cookies in the shape of hearts. It's all for me. The Red Phoenix laughed loudly. One heart is enough for me. I definitely won't eat the rest. Suddenly a portal opened in front of them, through which they could fly home. I'll cut my way very short. The Red Phoenix and the Snow Queen flapped their wings and quickly went home. The only thing the Red Phoenix was thinking about. This is about where the Lord got these heart-shaped cookies. After all, he doesn't know how to cook at all. The bishop's cooks found out about this. They really liked this story. They laughed very loudly, and they were glad that the Red Phoenix liked this surprise. And at that moment, a holiday was being prepared on Earth. The castles were rehearsing for a big grand celebration. Everything was involved, even the dancers. One interesting young man fell in love with the bishop's sister. He offered her his hand and heart, and they decided to get married. Everyone on Earth already knew about this. All the townspeople walked around and told each other about this celebration called a wedding. That this is going to happen. There will be a holiday in the city. Even the best makeup artist came to town for the most glamorous bride. The bride was really nice. She was young and beautiful. She was smart and slim. Relatives went and chose a site for this celebration. First of all the guests had to fit there. The bride, of course, was very worried. She wanted this to be the best wedding of her life. So, that this would be the best holiday? First, they looked at the huge palace. In their opinion, all the guests had to fit there. But the bride didn't like the facade or paint of this palace. He was too gray and uninteresting. But this palace was very well suited for a celebration called a wedding. It was spacious, big, cozy, and most importantly, beautiful. The bishop flew to his home. He was very happy for his sister. She deserved to be happy. The Lord was greeted by the father and daughter of the Blue Dynasty. Vladika, how good it is that you have returned, said the father. Vladika, you arrived just in time for the holiday, said Rain to the Blue Dynasty. I will do my best to make this holiday the best on Earth. Of course, taking into account previous mistakes. The daughter of the Blue Dynasty smiled. Vladika went around the house and looked for his own sister in different rooms. He really wanted to look at her. In the living room, he bumped into a makeup artist. This was an unfamiliar woman to him. Who are you, and what are you doing here? The bishop asked this woman. I'm the best makeup artist in the world. Your sister hired me. I'll just make her into a Barbie doll. Or even better. The father and daughter of the Blue Dynasty were simply shocked by these words. They already had a bitter experience with the doll. They really wanted it. The bishop was also in shock. He didn't want his sister to look exactly like Barbie. And our bishop's sister was sitting in her room. She was very beautiful. She was wearing a wedding veil. The bride was in a very good mood, because ahead of her was her beloved person and the best holiday in the world. The bride was sitting in her room, playing the harp and humming a very good, kind, cheerful song. She sat and thought about her loved one. But according to tradition, the bride should not appear in front of the groom before the wedding. The bride also wanted to see her beloved brother. They haven't seen each other for a very long time. There were a lot of rooms in the palace. The lords had to walk along the corridor and look into each of them to find their sister. Vladika went into the next room and saw his sister in it. Finally, I found you, said the lord. The bride is not ready yet. The makeup artist screamed. It was too early to enter this room, and the bride continued to play and sing her songs. The Lord looked at his sister, and I realized that she was beautiful, that she is the best bride in the world. He was very happy for her. The bride's sister also really missed her brother Vladika. We still had a lot of wedding troubles ahead of us. I'm preparing songs for my fiancé, the bride said. Lord brother, do you want to listen? The bride began to play very loudly and hum some very beautiful song. Plus, she danced while doing it. It was like a whole production. The bride tried so hard to sing loudly that it seemed that she was about to lose her voice. I'm going hoarse. She just wanted her brother to appreciate her efforts. She played and sang so loudly that I think the whole city heard. Is the song over? The bride asked. Well, how do you like my performance? What do you think of my number that I prepared for my fiancé? The song and music ended, but everyone who heard it still had a ringing in their ears. I think the daughter of the Blue Dynasty said it perfectly. It's definitely better than what I sing. 100%. I have never heard a better performance, said the father of the Blue Dynasty. I think the groom should really like it. You definitely liked it, the bride asked. Or do you just not want to offend me? Just tell it like it is. Give me the truth and that's it. But I sang and played from the bottom of my heart. It was simply divine, sister. Said, Lord, I didn't even know that you could play and sing like that. There's a lot you don't know about me, brother. The bride said to her brother, the ruler. And the ringing from the bride's harp was still in everyone's ears. The brooches were all buzzing. This is a beautiful performance, sister. The goat is the ruler of his sister. You have grown a lot since our last meeting. Once upon a time, our father played this harp. You play the film on them. Reminded me of my father. The bishop met with the makeup artist. He asked the makeup artist to try very hard to make the bride his sister. She was the most beautiful woman in the world at her wedding. The bishop ordered that wedding invitations be sent to all corners of the globe. The bride also sent out invitations to everyone. To all my relatives, to all friends. True, these invitations were very unique. It was something very incomprehensible and even funny. These are the same beads that our father played, said the Lord. How did you manage to save them? They are practically new, said Lord. This harp is rightfully considered our family heirloom. Our father inherited this harp from his father. And we also inherited them when I was little. I watched my father play. I remembered the movements and notes. And then she quietly repeated it all. Sister Bride said, Vladika decided to remember how to play the harp. He hasn't done this for many years. He put hands on the harp. He began to move his fingers, and the hands themselves remembered the movement, and the music began to spread throughout the street. Vladika remembered that once upon a time this was exactly how their father played this harp. It is on this street, in this garden. Father played his harp and sang songs. Meanwhile, the ruler was collecting brushwood to light the stove. Father was very pleased that Vladika was there then, a very hard-working boy. The bishop also recalled how he once saw that his father played not only the harp. Father played the pipe. The bishop liked this melody very much in his childhood. Vladika also recalled how his father taught him to fight. He showed him various martial arts so that his son would grow up strong and brave. Vladika remembered how difficult martial arts training was. My father was a tough coach. He did not let his son relax. Vladika remembered how he cried as a child, because training took all his strength. The bishop's sister, the bride, also remembered this. She remembered her father. What a kind man he was. But their father went to heaven. The main thing is that the warmest memories remained in the hearts of his children. Everyone listened to what the sister and her brother, the bishop, were talking about. The father of the Blue Dynasty daughter liked this very much. Then the makeup artist got to work. She left and began to restore beauty, doing the bride's hair. And the bishop was still haunted by the memories of his wonderful father. In fact, his father gave him everything that the ruler has now: upbringing, education, strength, honor, and dignity. Vladika sat down in the courtyard and began to play the harp, which once belonged to his father. The makeup artist was very nervous and worried, because there was very little time left before the holiday, and there was still a lot of work to be done. The father and daughter of the Blue Dynasty offered their help to the makeup artist. They knew a lot about beauty. There really was very little time left. The daughter of the Blue Dynasty was very happy. She got the place. Interestingly, it's a job she's good at, and the makeup artist decided to tell one very scary story that once happened to her. The bird of happiness helped her, which she is very grateful for. Vladika remembered that he once met a bird of happiness on his way, and she helped them too. Everyone in the house was preparing for the celebration. Everything was beautiful outside too. The chicken was swept. The fence was painted. The makeup artist continued to tell her story about what had already happened to her. If this story is short, then, of course, tell it, said Lord. I just want to be on time for the wedding. The makeup artist began to tell her terrible story. One day she met a man, which he wouldn't be a person at all. In appearance, he looked like an ordinary mortal. She continued to talk, visagiste. But as soon as night came, as soon as the sun hid behind the clouds, this man was reincarnated. The makeup artist continued to talk. As soon as night fell, he turned into a vampire. Everyone was very afraid of this. I told you, visagiste. But the makeup artist was not afraid, because she did martial arts. Are you sure you weren't scared? The bride asked. No, the makeup artist answered. But as soon as I closed my eyes, I immediately saw the silhouette of what a dead man you were. This was really scary. This story greatly amused the bishop. The makeup artist was a bad storyteller. The bishop called the makeup artist into his office. He wanted to have a serious conversation with the makeup artist. Botan didn't scare his sister fiancée. I can't be nervous now. There is no need to scare her with stories. Better get busy, she said Vladika to the makeup artist. I can also tell you a lot of scary stories. Believe me, I had a lot of them. The Lord said to the makeup artist, these stories are all scary. Couple night, and about various evil spirits. The bishop continued to speak. The makeup artist was already in shock. With every second, she became more and more scared. The bishop decided to teach the makeup artist a lesson. He continued to tell his scary stories, from which the makeup artist was horrified. The makeup artist imagined all this before her eyes in the form of a big flash at night. It was terribly, terribly long. And the bishop continued to frighten the makeup artist with his terrible stories. One day I caught a very scary bandit who stole money. He was a very nice guy. The bishop was telling a new story. We put him behind bars in prison. When the punishment was over, we released him. The bishop continued to talk. And when he was released, he began to threaten us that he would come back. The Lord continued his story. Well, why are you going to scare my sister fiancée? Where can you do your main business of bringing beauty? The Lord said to the makeup artist. But after the reports, who decided to tell my story to the makeup artist again? The makeup artist did not expect this. She thought that was all. And the stories continued. We were attacked by evil robbers who wanted to take everything from us and steal my pet, my favorite funny dog. The bishop began to tell a new story, but we beat them, and everything was fine. Because together we are strong and no one can defeat us, said Lord. Vladika invited the makeup artist to go and see how his sister bride was doing. The weather was beautiful outside. There was almost no wind. The sun was shining brightly. Where have you been for so long? The bride asked the makeup artist. My girl, it's better not to ask. There will be nothing interesting in my stories. Better ask your brother. She said she was a makeup artist, and in the house the final preparations for the wedding were underway. All was good. The bishop and his sister, the bride, were rehearsing her wedding number for the groom. He suggested which notes were best to play. During the rehearsal, the groom appeared in the room to the music. He brought perfume for his beloved. It was a wonderful smell. The father of the Blue Dynasty and a makeup artist tried alcoholic drinks. These were strong tinctures from berries. These alcoholic drinks caused slight cloudiness and darkening in the eyes. They began to imagine different stories. It seemed to them as if some young man had broken into their house to steal a good dog, our Lord's best friend. This is what hooked us. She said she was a makeup artist, but I like it. Let's continue. The father and the reign of the Blue Dynasty suggested that the Lord rest for a while, maybe even sleep, so that he can gain strength before his sister's wedding. Vladika had not slept so soundly for a long time. He had many different colorful dreams. It was just wonderful. The bride came up with a great idea. She wanted it. Rings of the newlyweds at the wedding. The dog brought it. Namely, a good dog. After a delicious lunch, the good dog is light. Slept. The bride offered him her idea. The good dog jumped up with pleasure, and he screamed, I agree. I agree. Of course, yes. It's an honor for me. And the makeup artist's hallucinations continued. The passions in her imagination were simply boiling. The same handsome guy played the leading role. After the explosion, something similar in silhouette to a person descended to the ground. The makeup artist indicated that she sees all this in reality. It was very realistic. The makeup artist looked at this handsome man. Everything was perfect during the day. that she understood that he was probably bad. She got a good look at him. He didn't have a single wrinkle on his face, not a single scar. She practically fell in love with this handsome man in her imagination. Then, there was some kind of flash in the forest. It was impossible to see anything that was happening. It seemed to her that she was flying somewhere far into the sky. The flash remains behind, somewhere below. Then there was a bang explosion, and the green fog cleared from my eyes. Now in my imagination, there were already two handsome young men. They looked alike. It seemed like they were brothers. There was no further. It was painted with different colors. It looked a lot like the Northern Lights. Other colors. Then the sky took on different colors. It's as if space is in front of us. Some kind of comet planets were flying across the sky. Then we saw two flashes in the sky. One flash was fiery, two flash was blue. This meant one thing. Something was bound to happen now. And so it happened. Two elements collided together in the sky. It was just not clear why yet. Their eyes were very angry. It was immediately obvious that they did not share something among themselves. Bring these young people together. Only the Queen of Heaven could. The Queen of Heaven came for this purpose, to make peace. The Heavenly Queen read her spells. The air swirled in the sky so that it looked like a giant tornado. Then this wind began to stretch the two guys. The two elements are scattered from each other in different directions throughout the sky. There were electrical discharges all over the sky. It was getting a little quieter. The sky calmed down, because the two elements flew away from each other. The sun came out, and everything fell into place. The father and daughter of the Blue Dynasty also saw these special effects in the sky. They were very surprised. The bride was also scared. She had never seen anything like this before. Rain Dynasty and Blue took the bride's hand, so hard that your fingers crunched. "Let's stick together," she suggested. Daughter of the Blue Dynasty to the bride. "Together it won't be so scary. Don't be afraid." The bride of the Blue Dynasty said, "Thank you very much to you. It's really not scary together." Suddenly, various flashes and fire appeared in the sky again. One of those handsome men we saw before appeared. He had white, thick, beautiful hair and the same white eyebrows. "Why did you come back here?" I asked. "Queen of Heaven, I think we're done with everything. I want you to help me get my dog back. I have a beautiful gray dog." He said, "Beauties to the Queen of Heaven." One day my brother stole it, something that is friendly with fire. I still don't understand where he gets so much anger from. He said, "Handsome man, to the Queen of Heaven." The Queen of Heaven closed her eyes, and like a clairvoyant, she began to look for where this brother ran. She saw that he was bound in burning chains of fire. But where is this handsome guy's dog? Where is this gray dog? While it was unknown, it was clear that he was suffering in agony. There are flames all around, but the gray dog was not visible. Then he admitted that he simply sold this dog for good money, to some people in a private zoo for their personal collection. The gray dog was very scared. He didn't expect this to happen to him. He was not ready to part with his master, although, in fact, the gray dog was a very brave dog, and very beautiful. Looking out of his cage, the gray dog saw that he was not alone in the private collection of this zoo. The gray dog saw how the white goat did not want to obey its new owner. She stuck her tongue out at him and spat in his face. Another gray dog saw a big monkey, a humanoid ape. She refused to comply with the demands of the new owner and showed him indecent signs. The gray dog also saw that there was a primitive man in this zoo. Perhaps it was even Bigfoot. The gray dog just doesn't understand this. Even the gray dog saw one very strange monkey in this zoo. She was constantly silent. Perhaps this was her protest. One day, the gray dog managed to escape from his cage and escape from this hell. He escaped from a private zoo. The gray dog was very scared. He ran wherever he could. He ran very fast and for a very long time, hoping to meet his master. "You're a handsome one." And then, the gray dog saw his master in front of him. Frightened and almost exhausted, he jumped into his arms. The owner was very happy and pressed him closer to himself. Father and daughter saw this gray dog. He looked a lot like a dog they know. He is very similar to the kind dog that the ruler has. "How I missed you," the beauty said to the gray dog. "I thought I'd never see you again. Thank God this is not the case." The owner of the gray dog was burning inside. He was overwhelmed with emotions. What if we introduce these dogs? I think they are the same breed. Should they become friends? Offered Rain to the Blue Dynasty. "Great idea," said the bride. "They can play together, be friends, and have a lot of fun. At this moment, sir, the dog, of course, was very tired. He was not in his best shape. He needed to eat well and rest. The gray dog asked his handsome owner to urgently feed him, because he had no strength at all. The owner took the gray dog in his arms and carried it to his kitchen to feed it. Moreover, there was a lot of food. Did they really not feed you there at all? I asked the owner of the gray dog. I'm so hungry that I'm ready to eat a wolf. The gray dog answered his master. The gray dog is really hungry, the owner thought. The owner took his gray dog in his arms. The owner offered it to the gray dog. Introduce him to someone like him. I think you two will become friends. Soon, this meeting took place. Two very similar dogs, gray dog and a good dog. They looked at each other for a long time and did not dare to take the first step. Then the fear went away, and the gray dog ran towards the good dog. They were so similar that they differed only in color. They liked each other at first sight. It seems it was true love. The kind dog was very happy. He seemed so pleased he had never been. The kind dog simply flew on the wings of happiness and love. This is happiness. How little a good dog needs to be happy. The kind dog's eyes shone with happiness because this has never happened to him before. The kind dog sat in the yard and dreamed. He dreamed of a happy future life, which will be even better than before. The Blue Dynasty saw it all rain. And the bride. The girls were very happy for the two dogs who found each other in this world. Happiness was gaining momentum. It was easy and fun at heart. It was true love. The good dog and the gray dog thought about each other every minute. They could no longer imagine without each other. When they didn't see each other, Sarah the dog was very sad. He wanted to quickly see the good dog. They spent whole days together. And they even began to see how people were thinking about their wedding. They began to dream. The gray dog dreamed of his own. He had his own wish for the wedding. He wanted a great magician to perform at their wedding because he was a world-class star. And the kind dog dreamed of musicians performing at their wedding. And better yet were the musicians and dancers who were supposed to impress the gray dog. The gray dog dreamed every day. He was happier than ever. The gray dog and the good dog were spending time together. They lay in the sun, in the courtyard, and they dreamed of a bright future. The gray dog's eyes also glowed with happiness. He too has never been as happy in his life as he is now. Bride and daughter of the Blue Dynasty. We looked at the dogs, and they were surprised. That dogs, just like people, have love. Then the gray dog was left alone because the good dog had to go to the bride's wedding rehearsal. It was necessary to rehearse as a good one. The dog will carry out the rings for the bride and groom. Good dog. He was also a little sad. I also didn't want to be separated from the gray dog for a long time. But the rehearsal was very important. The good dog listened and remembered everything he was told. He remembered everything he needed to do. It seems to be nothing complicated. But everything had to be done clearly. Everything is correct. So, as not to spoil this touching moment, a good dog, he rehearsed everything he needed to do well. The girls took him in their arms and began to stroke and play with him. The wedding will begin very soon, so girls, let's hurry to the banquet, said the father of the Blue Dynasty. Everything was ready, so the wedding began immediately with fireworks. The sky became very beautiful. People sang and danced. There was something for everyone to do at this holiday. It was a lot of fun. Handsome Guy was also at the wedding. He liked everything. Everything was at a high level. But he remembered, just recently, bad people wanted to prevent this happiness. They wanted to stop the bride. They even stole the gray dog. The ruler stood aside and looked at his townspeople. They danced and had fun. They sang a song. Nothing stopped them. The bishop went to his sister's bride. He wanted to be the first to congratulate her on her wedding day and say that she is the most beautiful in the world and that he loves her very much. Sister, you are so happy. I look at you and become happy too. May everything work out for you. You are simply beautiful today, the Lord said to the bride. Thank you, brother, sister replied. The daughter of the Blue Dynasty looked at the happy bride and remembered the story, which her father told her. The story was about her mother. One day, the mother of the Blue Dynasty's daughter disappeared. Nobody knew where she was or what happened to her. Is she alive or no longer alive? They didn't know where to look. Evil people caught my mother. They tied her with strong knots and ropes with spikes. They didn't give her any water or food. The sun was setting below the horizon and it was already very dark. Something had to be done. Some decision had to be made. One evening, like this. It was already quite late then. The father of the Blue Dynasty decided to go to the rescue and look for his wife. The daughter of the Blue Dynasty was very worried about her father, because he didn't know where to go. What lies ahead for him, and what he will have to face. It was already quite late. It was dark. It was night. The father was about to go save his wife. "Father, be careful. I beg you," said Rain to the Blue Dynasty. "What if something happens to you too, and then I'll be completely alone?" "I ask you to take care of yourself," she said to her father.